Hello, my name is Alex Vincent. I am in the Technical Communications class at Baker College. This is my oral presentation accompanying my written report on how to make a movie. Now, filmmaking is a very complicated process with many steps and processes that can vary wildly depending on who's making the movie and what type of movie is being made. Most of the time, however, the core principles remain the same. That is to say, a script needs to be written, a cast needs to be determined, the film needs to actually be shot, then it needs to be edited and marketed or produced. I'll be walking you through each of these steps. A script is a vehicle for a character that is created by the screenwriter, or in some cases the producers, to answer a question at the beginning of the film and then at the end of the film differently. Now, this question is supposed to be something that is meaningful and deep, such as what are the most important things in life, not necessarily mediocre questions that don't mean anything like what's 4 plus 2, actual real relevant questions. And it's the purpose of a movie to get the character to a point where he will answer the question differently than he did at the beginning of the movie. And that's what a plot is supposed to be. A plot needs to be centered around a character's moral standpoint rather than the characters being just serving whatever the plot needs it to. That's bad writing. And a typical script is written in a 3-act structure, with the first act ending on page 30, the second act ending on page 90, and the third act ending on page 120. Now, this is based off the idea that a typical movie is 120 minutes, 2 hours, and a minute of movie equals 1 page of a script. Now, this isn't always the case. In fact, most of the things that I'll be talking about won't always be the case, but that's what they are generally referred to by most of the people in the industry. Now, the first act sets up the character, the question, the dilemma, and the settings of the story, as well as any other secondary or tertiary characters that will be introduced or utilized throughout the story. The second act is the main meat of the piece, which takes the character through the journey that he needs to go through to answer the question differently, and it usually ends with the character's weakest point, which is the moment where he loses either everything or what is most important to him. And this serves as a catalyst for the third act, which is where every plot thread through the movie is wrapped up. The character realizes what is most important to him, or what he's truly afraid of, or what he needs to do to learn responsibility, or whatever the question is. This is the point where the character realizes what the answer to that question is. And once a director has been chosen, it's time to cast the actors. Now, this can be done also in a variety of ways. And most of the time, they will all go in for an audition where they will read scenes from the movie in character to determine who would fit best with the part, who would fit in with the other cast members. This is called screen testing, where they put them in the situation, the setting. Sometimes if they have a set built, they'll put them there. If they have costumes, they'll put them in those and have them act together to see if the chemistry is right. And actors can be cast for a variety of different reasons, either for the looks or for their willingness to get along with others, because sometimes it's not always about talent. Sometimes it's about just having fun and making a movie in a fun way. Sometimes it's about making the best looking film, which is where you would put in a bunch of really attractive actors or actresses that would get a lot of people to come see the movie based on their looks. Once a movie has been fully cast, a director has been chosen, and a script is made, it's time for the read-through. Now, the read-through is what happens when everybody who will be involved in the movie gets together and reads through the script and discusses what the movie is going to be, what their plans are for the movie, anything that has to do with the film. They will discuss that, and they will start to do rehearsals at this point, which are rudimentary at first, where they say, your character will go over here, your character will punch this guy at this point. A lot of the times the director will just read off the action cues in the script, which is, the action is anything that isn't spoken by an actor. Now, everything up to this point has been referred to as pre-production, which is anything that happens before the cameras start rolling and people start actually acting in the movie. Everything before that is called pre-production, and everything after the movie has been filmed is called post-production, such as editing and sound composure. Now, production of the movie is the actual filmmaking part of it, which consists of getting the actors in wardrobe and on set and actually having the cameras roll. The director will yell action, actors will start reading lines, and everyone will hopefully have a good time. A script will often be divided into short, bite-sized segments called units, which are usually what someone is able to film in a day, although a lot of the times directors will like to break the script up into just scenes, where if they can film an entire scene in one day, that's great, they'll do that. Other directors will choose the units method, which would require 3 to 4 days of filming a certain scene, or longer depending on how long the scene is, or what it consists of. A lot of people seem to be under the misconception that the longer a scene is, the longer it takes to film, and that is true, but there's more to it than that. The more characters in a scene, that's where it exponentially gets to a crazy amount of filmmaking. See, a typical movie is filmed by setting up a single camera on a single character at a time, running through the scene, and then cutting, setting the camera up on a completely different character, running the scene again from the same point to the same ending, and then cutting all those together in editing. Now, this isn't to say anything about sound design, which is, you'll usually have a boom guy holding up a boom mic over the actors' heads so that they can acquire the sound of the movie while the cameras are capturing the video. And after the fact, the audio from the vocals of the actors will be placed into the film while it's being edited, along with all the secondary sound effects, such as footsteps or paper shuffling, which all have to be faked. A lot of people don't know this about movies, but every sound that you're hearing that isn't something the actor is saying, and even sometimes what they are saying, is faked and put into the movie after the fact. And this is done by a sound designer who will sit in his studio and either make the sounds or find the sounds in his list of sound files and apply them to the movie depending on what the director wants. And this will often happen at the same time that the movie is being edited. Sometimes it'll happen after. Another important step in the movie-making process is the music of the movie. What generally tends to happen is the movie will be filmed and then shown to a composer who will watch the movie and write a song or a theme or a set of songs as they're watching the movie and determine what the feel of it should be. And then once they've written this and recorded it with an orchestra, they will send the sound files to the sound editor or the director, who will then fit them into the movie as the director sees fit. After all the sounds have been in place and the special effects have been added, usually by the editor, and the film has been edited, it's then sent off to a printing station where it is pressed into film reels, which are then sent to movie theaters across the nation for everyone to see and enjoy. So I hope you learned a lot in this presentation of a movie, and I hope you go out and make some really good movies.